Good evening, everybody. How are you this evening? Hey, I said I'd come back and do a yogurt live for you. Now it is late, but it's late because I didn't get to put my milk on until late. So what you've got to do with yogurt is you've got to heat up your milk and you've got to get it to, I think this one's at 80 degrees. Most say 90 degrees. You're not trying to boil it, but you're actually needing to kill off the bacteria in milk so that it can then culturize. Now I'm using a beautiful milk. Let me just get the packaging from the Mungali Biodynamic Dairy that we actually visited probably a fortnight ago now when we were in Atherton's a couple of weeks ago. So they're in the southern part of the Atherton Tablelands. They make amazing cheese and their own milk and stuff like that. So I bought it specially today going, right, I'm going to make yogurt with this because I want to use some yogurt over the weekend with some recipes to show you guys. So anyway, I've changed this recipe a little bit. This recipe normally makes 1 litre worth or 1.1 litre. I've put in 1.5, okay? So I am going to change it up a little bit. You guys know how I go. Feel free to say hi if you're watching tonight as well. And if you feel like sharing what you made for dinner, would love to know because I'm sure others would be inspired. So the first step is you put your milk into the bowl and I'll do this for those of you who maybe don't have guided cooking. So let's just go back a step. So it says, first things first is it says to put some yogurt, 55 grams of yogurt aside. I'm not going to do that. I actually bought my yogurt starter culture away in the freezer. So I'm going to actually use my starter culture instead of a previous batch of yogurt. Once I've got this batch going though, I can reuse the last portion, the 55 grams in the next batch. So I can do that. But I didn't bother doing that for that reason. Set the bowl aside. Okay, here we go. 1,000 grams, which is 1 litre of full cream milk. Okay, so I've done 1.5, done the whole lot. And Melissa, good question. I was hoping it isn't. No, it's not lactose free. We normally are dairy free. However, yogurt's one of those things I tend to find the kids can stomach okay. So, and you know, I find as well the less processed, for some reason, the happier the tummies are. Haven't figured out why, but yogurt's one of those things that generally the kids are okay with. So without the measuring cup, so this I'm particularly going through for those of you who don't have guided cooking, this is what you'll want to do with your TM5, 31 or other thermo cooker. So it's got 10 minutes, 80 degrees and speed 3. Now because I put the extra 500 grams in, I cooked it for longer. So I actually took it for 15 minutes. You want to add an extra half time. So I did 15 minutes, 80 degrees, speed, what was it? 3. Now this is the part that is the reason why I'm coming to you at 10 o'clock at night here in Queensland, because then you need to allow it to cool. It needs to cool down until it drops to 45 degrees. And it says approximately 45 minutes. It's been sitting here for 90 minutes, okay? It's going really slow. And I even took it out and set it aside. I didn't put it in the fridge, but I did put it on the bench because the back of your casing of your machine can actually quite insulate something. So it can stop, you know, if you've cooked dinner, you can leave it sitting there for an hour or 2 and it still stays piping hot. Okay, so add a little of the cooled milk to the reserved yogurt and stir to combine. So they'd want you to pour this into your little bowl with your 55 grams and stir it. We're not going to do that yet. And then add the yogurt mixture to the Thermomix. So this should be where I'm going to put the culture in. Just hang tight on that thought. Next thing, 50 grams of full cream milk powder. This gets you the really thick yogurt, okay? It's concentrating the milk. I'm going to put 75 grams in because I've got that extra. All right, normally I don't use this brand. This is the first time I've ever used this brand, but it was what they had at the supermarket. So, and I didn't really want a kilo in the caravan. So, little container it is. I actually have some plans to show you some other recipes with this over the coming days. Nearly there. Can you believe we didn't bring any dessert spoons away in the caravan? So everything's with teaspoons. Oh well. Okay, now it says some sugar. Now the sugar is actually to feed the cultures, so it's okay to put it in there even if you're sugar free. You don't have to put the full amount, it just feeds the cultures in there. So hello Vicky, lovely to have you on from the UK today. That is so cool. I'm glad our time frames are finally aligned. So I'm just going to put in probably 10 to 20 grams. We'll just see how much goes in. And by the way, I'm using monk fruit sweetener, so it's low carb. I don't think it would actually matter because the cultures are eating the sugar. I don't think it matters what sort of sugar you use, and I don't think it particularly needs to be low carb. It's just what I've got in here in the caravan. I don't use or buy other sugars unless I particularly am making something with them. So And I've also made this without the sugar before. It does go really sour, okay? And the longer you don't feed it, so you know how I said about keeping 55 grams of this one aside for the next batch, if you don't start feeding it occasionally, it gets really bitter, okay? So insert the lid. Now hang on, I haven't got my cultures in there yet, so hang tight. Let me just grab them out of the freezer, hoping they haven't moved. That'll be right. I'll have to unpack the freezer to get to it. There it is. Okay, having to move the cocktails around in the freezer. I'll come back to that in a second. Okay, so these are my little cultures in here. So we get them from a health food shop. These I've had for a long time in the freezer. You keep them in the freezer because that's how they survive. If you put them in the shelf or in your pantry, they'll die, okay? You normally would have 2 containers as well. You keep one super cold and you transfer into your second one just a little tiny bit that you want to use so it doesn't sweat them up. I didn't bring the second one away. You know, we're packing here for being quite tight. So that's how much you need. I don't know if you can see. Let's go shine you down here. There we go. Tiniest amount, okay? In that goes. It's not much. That's the amazing thing. Now that might be to you. You might have some Inner Health Plus capsules. I'm just gonna put this back in the freezer. Hang on. I don't want it dying on me. It could be, yeah, your Inner Health Plus capsules, one of those cracked open. It doesn't take much at all. You'd be surprised how little it actually takes. That's why I've had that for, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 years. All right, and it was not a much. It wasn't much. It wasn't like it was full. So we put that in now. Now the reason we also wait for this temperature of the milk to cool is if it's too hot, it kills the culture. All right, so it will die, a bit like your yeast does. If you put the yeast into something over 45 degrees, it'll die as well. You will say it says 50. However, at the moment, you got to remember that culture is sitting on top of the milk powder in there as well. So, and the sugar, so it'll be okay. All right. So it's got 5 seconds, 50 degrees, and says turn speed selected to speed 4. So for those of you following along at home, 5 seconds, speed for 1. All right. The 50 degrees is not, that wasn't something it had to get up to 50 degrees. That just happens to be what it's sitting on in there. Okay, now normally it says divide between 8 jars, sterilized jars, small jars, seal with the lid and place into the varoma. Not doing that because I don't have 8 small jars, but what I do have is I actually brought away yogurt 4 weeks ago when we left home. So, and I brought it away in my trusty old Pyrex dish. Okay, it's just glass, it's Pyrex. You do want to use a glass, don't use plastic when it comes to things that ferment. I gave it a good wash, got rid of the dust out of it, and I'm going to put it in there. So easy. This is so easy. If you're buying yogurt still, you need to start making it. One other suggestion though, when you go shopping for something to put it in, if you can get a rectangle one, they fit nicer in the fridge. So I know Decor does do a rectangular 1.5 or even it might be 2 litre one. I've got it at home. It's good because I guess circles don't fit well in fridges. All right. And the beautiful thing about this is when you make the little ones, I don't know, my kids eat them really quick. When you do this, you can kind of control the portions a bit better. I don't know, maybe it's just my kids. So we're not going to divide it up. We're just going to put it straight in here. I think you guys can see. All right, in this goes. Gentle. In this goes. Now, I wonder if I've got too much. Nah. Make it fit. Oh, I don't know actually. So it doesn't need room to expand, but what has happened in here is it's frothed a little bit. With the stirring and the cooling process, it's frothed. So what I might do, just looking for a cup to put the extra in. All right. Don't know what I'll do with that extra, to be completely honest. I'll deal with that later, but that's an extra. Oh, and there's milk powder in the bottom. Never mind that. Or actually, it may not be milk powder. On second thoughts, it's probably the cream off the beautiful milk that I had here. Now we need a clean bowl. Excuse the hand while I clean the bowl. Or we need a cleanish bowl. It doesn't have to be super clean, but it needs to be clean enough again. I should just use the second bowl. Anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to now create the warmth that's required for this to incubate. All right, so we're going to put this glass jar, I'm just getting rid of the residue out of here. We're going to put the glass. I don't know if you guys can hear. Can you guys hear the 7-year-old snoring in the caravan about 2 meters away? Not even that, a meter away. It's not the husband, it's actually the child. He was having a sad at bedtime, so I'd say he's a little bit, yeah, congested from his sad moments. All right, so next up on the screen, I'll just tell you what it says. You may not be able to read. Rinse the mixing bowl. Check. 250 grams of water. Now, I'm not going to actually weigh that in. We've got the little dots up the back. The first one is 500, so we're just going to go halfway up there. So just guesstimate, okay? Don't feel like you got to be perfect, except mine's a little high. Now, the next thing you'll see is lemon juice, or yeah, 30 grams of lemon juice. I'm going to use vinegar. So it doesn't have to be lemon juice. It literally can be anything that's acidy. It might be lime juice, it might be apple cider vinegar, it might be vinegar. And what you're doing is you're protecting your blades from rust, because you're holding them at 30, I think this holds it at 70 degrees or 60 degrees, like it's that in-between temperature for an extended length of time. It can damage your blades. You can get rust forming on your blades from that. So that's what we're doing there by adding something that's acidy in there. I'm going to add orange juice because the kids left an orange up there, and that'll do. Okay, it's probably not as strong, but it'll do fine. I was going to add vinegar. I forgot to get it out of the cupboard, but it is just there to protect your blades. All right, one other tip, do pull out the pips. Otherwise, all night, you're going to hear them in there going tick, tick, tick against your blades. So I can see one's just gone in there. The other thing you can use is a dissolved vitamin, sorry about that, vitamin C tablet. Okay, again, it's that acid. It's protecting the blades. Place the Varoma dish in position. So, lid on. Oh, where's the Varoma? Here it is. Varoma. Okay. Now, the only thing you have to be mindful of is if you've got a TM5, your Varoma is slightly shorter. You will need a slightly shorter dish to do this with. That's about all that's different. Okay. Oh, actually, TM31 owners, you don't have, and TM5 owners, you don't either. You don't have the capacity to set it for 8 hours. You're going to need a different way. Okay. I used to pour my mix into the thermo server and put the lid on, and I'd incubate it in there in a warm spot in my house overnight. Worked perfectly fine. And then I'd put the whole thermo server in the fridge in the morning. Okay, that will work fine as well, as long as you've got a warm enough spot. I'm not talking toasty warm, I'm just body temperature warm. Okay, so you guys, you can't do this method. All right, but you can do it to this point, but then you've got to put it in your thermo server. And if it is cold, another tip, put your thermo server in one of those insulated carry bags you get from the supermarket. You know, your Coles and Woolies and whatever else, the insulated ones. Stick it in there overnight because it just gives it that double layer of insulation. So, can I put this in here without spilling it? I do need to get the lid for this. Oh, yep, in we go. Now, just another note with your air holes in your Varoma. Make sure there's a few that are visible. Doesn't have to be all of them. Just half a dozen that are visible at the bottom of this. You would not want to have a dish that completely encases the bottom. If it's that case, you want to raise it up on some paddle pop sticks or spoons or something like that. Mine's got heaps of room. The air can easily get through. So now, what do I need to do? I need to find the lid for the container, which is under there. I won't do it on camera. I'll find it afterwards. I'll put the lid on the Varoma. Okay. By the way, I have accidentally done this without putting a lid on that. It worked. Okay. The only thing that happened is some of the steam dripped on top of the yogurt, but it worked fine. Okay. If that goes on like that, I am going to remember to come back off camera and put the lid on the other one. And then 10 hours, 70 degrees is what that water is holding at to create the 37 degrees up here to incubate it. And we spin the dial on a TM6. How cool is this? So that is how easy it is. Now, there are some variations. You could be putting vanilla into your mix at the end. So when we did the mix around and we combined it all, you could add some vanilla paste and have it vanilla flavored. You can't get crazy and add fruit, okay? It wrecks the cultures in there. So the fruit portion, if you're going to make a coulis or something like that to add to it, has to be done afterwards. You have to add it and mix it through after this is cultured and thickened. If you want a Greek yogurt, you can strain it and it'll get thicker and the whey will come out. Don't throw the whey out. It's amazing in banana bread and parklets and stuff like that. But otherwise, that's about it. One other tip actually before I go. Make sure your bowl before you start this process and whatever you're going to incubate it in, that glass inside is clean. So because we're in the caravan, I don't have a dishwasher. I had to double check that because You are culturing it for 10 hours. Now, I don't think it'll make you usually unwell by not having your stuff clean, but what will happen is it just won't culture. You'll end up with a runny liquid in the morning. If that happens, don't throw it out. We never waste food with our Thermomix. Instead, you use it for things like a yogurt cake. Use it in your pancake mix. Use it in your banana bread. Use it still, okay? But use it straight away. Don't leave it sit in your fridge because it hasn't cultured properly, okay? So don't let it go to waste. Do not throw any of your Thermomix food out ever. If you have something that flops, you're going to message me. You're going to ring me and go, Lisa, what do I do with this food? Help, okay? So please don't ever hesitate to reach out. But that's also something to be mindful of. You want your gear to be clean, okay? Just because we are talking about things that are going to sit at that, what we'd call an unsafe food temperature. You know, nothing else can really sit at 70, well, what's this, 40 degrees for 10 hours. Like, this is what yogurt does. It's supposed to. But if I did it to a meat pie, I'd be pretty crook within about 72 hours, okay? So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you go away and give yogurt a go. And when you do, can you send me your pictures and say, yay, I've mastered yogurt? It will save you a bucket load. If you're currently buying yogurt, this is going to save you so much money, because now, once this is cultured, use your 55 grams, make your next batch, and all it's going to cost you is milk powder, tiny bit of sugar, and 2 litres of milk, or 1.5 litres of milk. So easy. Anyway, guys, take care. I will take a picture in the morning and I will show you what it looks like, and I'm going to make some yummy things tomorrow from the back of the car for you guys. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Saturday. So I'll see you then. Bye, guys.